My name is Mohammed. As I mentioned, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Plugzio. And at Plugzio, our number one goal is to make charging simple. Like, there are so many complex solutions out there, and we want to be the path of least resistance. Let's begin by EV charging 101. There are 3 levels of charging in general, and they're conveniently named: level 1, level 2, and level 3. Now, level 3 is supercharging. These are the big companies work on these. These are huge machines that deliver huge amounts of power in short amount of time. Like Tesla has a full network of them across the United States, or utilities usually work on these. Level 2 is designed for top-ups. It's designed for transient parking. A few hours of stay, you're at a restaurant, you're at a gym, and level 2 is enough for those scenarios. It's designed for top-ups. And level 1 is designed for daily usage. Long duration charging. So apartment complexes, workplaces, schools, airports, hotels. Level 1 is best case scenario for those. Now, if you give people a choice and tell them, what kind of a charger do you need? Obviously, everyone is going to go with the highest power. I mean, why not? But as soon as you show them the prices involved in each of these, that's where they start thinking logically. That's where they think, they start doing cost-benefit analysis. So during my presentation, I'm going to give you 5 facts about electric vehicle charging, which over the years, I realized people don't really know about them. And at the end, I'll show you a demo of our dashboard, so you'll learn how we approach charging. So by now, you've probably heard that it takes hours to charge an electric vehicle. And that brings me to fact number 1, which is it takes your vehicle several hours to charge, not you. And vehicles are parked 95% of their lifetime. That's 22 hours a day. And a vehicle at rest is a charging opportunity. And in addition to that, electric vehicles is a different lifestyle. You only have to fill up what you have used during the day, not the entire battery, as falsely advertised almost everywhere in the media. Right? So electric vehicle ownership, I always say they're like bumblebees. They go from charger to charger to charger. So it's never 0 to 100%. That's gas mentality. Gas mentality is you empty the tank, you go to a gas station, you fill it back up. Electric vehicles are very different. They have to only fill up what they've used. Peninsula Clean Energy did a whole study on levels of charging, which I'm going to share this document with you. And they realized that level 1 charging, which is like using a regular outlet, meets the daily needs of 94% of drivers. So this means essentially everyone, unless you're an Uber driver, like you're extreme user of power. Now, if you do some simple math, and let's say we want to recharge the battery for 50 miles, and I want to emphasize that this doesn't mean that the vehicle can only go 50 miles. The vehicle can go as far as the battery allows. This means that you only have to recharge 50 miles, which is twice the city average. And you have 12 hours to charge it. The speed of a charger that you need in this case is 4.2 miles per hour. And that brings me to fact number 2. Every electric vehicle gets delivered with a free charger. Just like a laptop. You buy it, there's a charger in the trunk. There's an adapter for every laptop, as is there's a charger for every vehicle. And these chargers can be plugged into regular outlets, and they provide 5 miles per hour of charge, which is more than double what anyone needs in their daily usage. So the big question that people have at this point, like these are the scare tactics played on property managers. Like, what if someone wants to travel for the next day and they needed like a fast charger? That brings me to fact number 3. Fact number 3 is the size of the battery determines the range, not the speed of the charger. So if your phone runs out of battery in the middle of the day, you don't run out and buy a faster charger at home. You buy a battery pack. It's the size of the battery that determines your range, not the speed of your charger. These are 2 very separate entities. So please consider this next time someone plays the scare tactic on you. Now, if someone takes their charger, and whether you know it or not, people are doing it in your property, and plug it into an outlet in the garage, and this happens everywhere, the cost of electricity goes to the property, because electricity was not designed to be shared. And this is exactly the problem that Plugzeo solves. So we essentially sit in between the user and the property. We take the revenues based on consumption from the user, we pay the property. So the property is not bleeding any money. And at the same time, it's also about fairness, because I see properties that give me a call and they're like, other residents are unplugging chargers because they're like, you're not paying for my gas, why should I pay for your electricity? So we're also solving the fairness problem as well. Now the way Plugzeo works is simple. I have one of the units right here. So by default, there's no electricity flowing through the device. It's an off device. If the user has to plug in their charger here, and they scan this QR code. And as soon as they scan this QR code or put in the number, just like parking, they will see the rate that the property you have set for usage. And as soon as they agree to that rate, the electricity starts flowing. And as soon as they unplug, the electricity is cut. So nobody can cheat and go on other people's accounts. When I show you a demo of the dashboard, you'll see how easy it is to set rates for usage and the different options of it. But this is the gist of it. Like, you can look at Plugzeo as a vending machine for power. You want power? Pay for it. You'll access it. Like, we're making electricity shareable. That's our mission. So because of this scarcity problem, because of the high cost of charging, what properties do is they install like a few chargers and they're like, people have to share it between them. This is a short-term solution, but it's a long-term pain. And that brings me to the other fact that sharing chargers is actually moving back in time, because we used to have shared laundry rooms. And there was always that dude who would leave his underwear in the washing machine and not move it. And this sharing chargers is exactly the same philosophy. It's not going to be sustainable over long term. It's going to be an inconvenience for the user because they're going to have time limits. You're going to have an inconvenience for the management because you're going to have to enforce those time limits. You're going to create policies. And there's always that person who's going to just email you and say, I didn't get enough time on these chargers. We need to like change the policies. So sharing is really not caring when it comes to charging. It's better to have a private charger than to have a fast, quick, or whatever shared charger. The other philosophy here is, what if the government incentives pay for it? Or what if someone comes in and says, I'm going to give you this for absolutely free and you don't have to pay anything up front? This is very important for you to understand that an electric vehicle charger is not a bicycle rack that you just install on the wall and it works for 50, 100 years beyond our lifetimes and who cares. There is going to be ongoing costs involved with this, which are going to be more than the actual initial cost. Think about it like an elevator. An elevator in a property always has a cost involved, and if it doesn't work, everyone is going to be pissed. Chargers are the same thing. On average, this study was done by AES Engineering. It's an independent source. On average, at a level 2 charger in all the various configurations, is going to cost you about $10,000 in maintenance costs and service costs over time. Compared to that, a level 1 charger on an outlet is 1/10 of that. So you're not only going to be saving initially, but you're going to saving over time as well. And that brings me to fact number 4. Electricity is abundant. So you cannot force people to use property chargers to cover the cost. Like, if you're thinking, like, they have to park at your garage because they have no other option. But when it comes to electricity, they have other options. So if you increase the cost of power, people are going to choose another way to charge, and then you will be left with like these long-term contracts and ongoing costs forever. So please think about this. Ongoing costs are going to be more important over the long term than initial costs. So let's go through some case studies. This is actually one of the installations in California, and 9 units fully installed at $40,000. The cost, if they wanted to do high power charging, was $179,000. So the difference in price is huge. We're not talking about pennies here. We're talking about thousands of dollars. Another example is a university, 43 units, $55,000. They had a code for level 2 charging. It was $368,000. So the difference is a few spaces of the garage becoming EV ready, or your entire parking garage becoming EV ready. Now, as the final case study, I want to mention that having an outlet has the side benefit of being multi-purpose. So it doesn't matter if electric vehicles plug into it, electric bicycles, electric scooters, and in fact, micromobility is growing much faster than electric vehicles. So this multi-purpose functionality makes your property future-proof. And it drops down the resistance, because everybody appreciates having an outlet at their parking space. Like, I had a client who called me and he said, I love the Plugzeo unit at my parking space because I can vacuum clean my car in addition to charging it. So this multi-purpose functionality is going to be critical over the long term for you. Now, another question that I get a lot, isn't it convenient to have chargers with cables? Absolutely not. It is convenient, but for the property manager, it's a liability. Because in Europe, the chargers on the streets don't have cables. Everyone brings their own cable. They plug one side to the vehicle, the other side to the charger. It takes maybe an extra 10 seconds, 15 seconds to take the cable and put in the charger. And at the same time, every vehicle comes with a charger. So having a cable come with the actual charger is not only redundant, but it's a huge liability for the property. Because a scratch on that cable, you have to call in the technicians and replace it because it's a safety risk. So think about this. Everyone has a charger. They don't need an extra cable hanging from the wall. Any moving parts in your property is going to have wear and tear, and that's liability for you. So you may as well cut the cord and make the power source smart rather than make the charger smart, which makes it crazy expensive to maintain. So just to summarize what I went through, there are 3 levels of charging. Level 3 is high power charging. Level 2 is top-ups. Level 1 is designed for long duration parking. And the question to ask to decide what type of a charger you will need is this: how long is the vehicle staying at that location? If they're there for less than an hour, level 3 is best case scenario. They're on their way to their destination. They have to stop to have some food. Level 3, best case scenario. Level 2 is designed for transient parking, 1 to 4 hours. And I want to emphasize, the question is not how long do you want them to stay. You don't want to enforce time limits. It's inconvenient. It's an overhead. Level 2 is designed for like gyms, restaurants. You're there for an hour or two. You want to get some charge. Level 2 is best case scenario for that. Level 1, more than 5 hours. If you consider the fact that majority of lifetime of a vehicle is parked, you will notice that level 1 is actually the charger to go with for scale, for long-term vision. So what does Plugzeo offer over a regular outlet? I can show you the dashboard. That's actually a better way to present this. So this is the management dashboard that gives you the capability to monitor usage and set fees for usage, essentially. So what I want to show you is a few things here rather quickly. One of them is payment plans. So let's start with by payment plans. This is where you define how you want to charge for usage. It could be based on consumption per kilowatt hours. It could be based on duration, like parking per hour. It could be based on activation, like you activate, you pay a fee. You can mix and match these as well. It's based on your preference. And you can set them to be free as well. Like you could have a free plan. But you can also get very complex with this. You can go in and actually create time-based plans. So you can say at this time of the day, turn off the devices, or at this time the price is more than the other times. So when you create a payment plan, this is where you basically group together different people or different devices. So you can say like premium members, like we have properties where they have different tiers. Premiums pay a different fee versus the other ones. Or if the outlets are closer to the exits, you can set different rates for them. Or you can have different rates for different people even. So that's payment plans. Every payment plan is going to have a wallet attached to it. This is how you basically gather the revenues generated by this. Now, in larger properties, wallets can be different. So every revenue generated from these outlets can go into separate properties. So if I go to wallets, you will see that for every property you can create a different wallet, which means at the end of the month you don't have to throw these numbers in front of an accountant and say figure out where this revenue came from. Everything is already separated in our dashboard, because essentially Plugzero is a multi utility platform. It gives you a way to manage power across all of your properties and devices. You can even have separate wallets for different people, like the VIPs have their money deposited into separate accounts. So that's the power that we give you as the property manager, to separate accounts as an accountant as well. So when you create a payment plan and you say where you want to deposit the money in your wallet, you come into device management. This is where you define what devices get those payment plans. A device can be public or private. And by device, I mean it could be either this outlet, or it could be a universal, which is an actual charger. It depends on you what type of a device you want to pick. Device can be public or private. Public ones can be accessed using the QR code. Anybody who scans this will actually see this rate that is presented here, 22 cents per kilowatt hour. Now we can test this, like let me actually go ahead and test this, because the user account is different. So the user account is my.plugs.io. This is where the users go to activate these devices. It's written on every single one of our devices, my.plugs.io, to activate power. So let's assume that I want to go and activate this device, 15E2D. So the user goes in and they can scan the QR code, or they can just input the number E2D. And as soon as they activate, it tells them the rate for electricity and who is managing this. And as soon as they confirm, I don't want to confirm because I'm not there, it starts the charge. And it takes the money from my wallet, which I fill up using PayPal, and it deposits that amount to the manager's wallet. So that's for public properties. Now, if we come in and actually you can have private users in public devices as well. So if I come in here, let me see what user this was. Yeah, so it's my Gmail account. So if I go in and say I want to add my own account, so we have properties, John, that the concierge is on a free plan versus the residents, because they may use those outlets for cleaning the facilities, right? So let's assume that I'm actually the concierge and I want to put myself on a free plan. So even though the public is going to pay this plan, if I go in and actually I try to activate this device, I'm going to be on a free plan. Let's try it again. So if I go in and input this device number, what was it, 15E2D, you will see that now I'm on a free plan. There's no charge for using this device. So it can be very modular on who pays how much on each of these devices. Now, the last thing I want to show you here is every device has a description attached to it, which you can define to be whatever you want. So parking number, user, unit number, whatever you want to define here, you can use it here. It's going to be extremely helpful when you go through the dashboard, because the dashboard lists every session that was run on these devices, and you can go into details of them. See what was the voltage, current. You may not care about these, but what you care about is the revenues, how you charge them, how long it was run. And then we give you this Google-like search functionality at the top based on and you can search for users, devices based on their description. So if I go in and search for like the Plaza, you see everything on this page updates based on your search. And then you can export this data in an Excel format and use it as reporting tools. And this essentially gives you the power to look at essentially how power is used across your properties, and who's using them for how long and how much revenue you're making over time. And like it gives you little details, like very modular format on what your property is doing with respect to power. So coming back to the presentation, what does Plugzero offer over a regular outlet? There are three main things. Consumption tracking, as you saw on the dashboard, the amount of control you have on every user and the reporting tools. Automatic billing. We take the overhead out of your shoulder. So we manage everything with respect to billing. The only thing that a property has to do initially is to set the fees, and we will support you in that process. And at the same time, we offer you over-the-air updates. Technology is improving over time, and our devices will improve with time. So we can tap into building management systems later on and do a whole lot more as the time goes by. So there are three main reasons clients pick us. Number one is we're affordable. We're 1/5 of the cost of competition with the same feature set. Number two is we're simple. There's no training or unnecessary permits involved in our installation. This installs just like a regular outlet, and it in terms of maintenance, that also makes it extremely simple because we don't have to. You don't have to call an electrician technician and wait for them to come maintain this. If there is a problem that we can't remotely fix, we send you a brand new device, so you can have any electrician who can change a light bulb, change an outlet for you. And at the same time, we're scalable. Power is a scarce resource at every property. Using the same amount of power, you can support 5 times as many EV-ready spaces versus high-power charging solutions. Thank you for your time, for listening. I would love to answer any questions you may have by emailing us or contacting me directly. Thank you.